split rooks, ladies and gentlemen. That is a cardinal sin in my book. Rooks are at their best when they're working together. And you can see this game, I showed you this game the other day between Alireza Firouzja and Dhomaraju Gukesh. Firouzja has sacked the exchange. He's got a beautiful knight here. And look at Black's rooks. Pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. They need to work together. But actually Gukesh could have engineered a remarkable turnaround here. I'm just going to zip on a few moves. Now, I have shown this game in its entirety before. So I'm just going to flick through these moves to the crucial position where you can see those rooks working together. So that's already a good move, slipping out of range of the knight. And then it came to this position. Still looks fantastic for white. But here is where Gukesh had the opportunity to get those rooks working. They still look dreadful, just working on their own. But here he could have played bishop f2, attacking the rook. When the rook moves, rook a c6, hitting that bishop, and magically the game turns around. Those rooks are beautiful, working together, and there's going to be a fatal attack on white's king. In fact, Firouzja showed another variation after the game. He pointed out this move, queen g6, h3 to protect the g-pawn, bishop f2, this move again, and once again rook c6, attacking the bishop. And at first he thought, well, I might be able to get away with this because the bishop covers the c3 square. But then he spotted this trick, queen takes, and rook checkmate. The bishop covers these squares. Wow, what a picture of coordination with the rooks working so well together. That's fantastic. When they're split, disaster. When they're together, wonderful. Now, bear that in mind when I show you another game from the Freestyle Chess GOAT Challenge. So this is game 1 between Caruana and Carlsen. I didn't show this one. I showed game 2 where Carlsen won. But this one is fascinating. This is game 1. This has ended, well, I'll go through the whole game and I'll come back and look at one particular position. So, let's have a look at the baseline. Queen's in the corner. It's pretty messed up position actually. Those are the major pieces. d4 from Caruana, so obviously claiming space in the centre. Lets this bishop out. g6, now that tries to get the queen into the game. Knight f3 defends the pawn. d6 and e4. So, okay, this is looking fairly regular. That pawn is supported by the rook. Looks very nice. Carlsen counters in the middle, so he's threatening that pawn. And now it's an interesting decision. Caruana decided to just keep things very solid and exchange pawns. At first I was thinking, really? Do you need to do that? Why not c3? You know, a bit like a Spanish, where white holds that central position. But actually this can be dangerous. I think he probably avoided that because he was worried that his centre is going to come under fire, for example, like this. And you can see, look at white's queen. It's really rather shut out of the action, whereas black's queen actually has some influence over the centre. But white's queen, it's going to take a very long time for it to get into the game. So I think that's why Caruana decided to just exchange off, and then he carried on. So b3, looking to bring the bishop into the game. I'm going to zip through these moves fairly quickly before we get to the critical moment in the game. So a near symmetrical pawn structure, and both sides getting their pieces out. Castle's queen side, that's nice. So this rook comes to the open file. So certainly, you know, connected rooks here, and it looks as though, you know, Caruana is actually ahead in development here. You know, those rooks look pretty good. Compare those rooks with Carlsen's split rooks here. So it's not going to be easy for black to challenge on the open D file. Knight e6. Queen f1. There we go. This queen shut out of play in the corner, and that's dangerous. Needs to come back into action. Queen f8. That's a good move. And there is a difference between the two positions. The queen and the bishop control this diagonal, and bishop a3 is going to be a nice move to exchange off those bishops, and then potentially black can use the dark squares. Bishop c4. Knight b6. So Carlsen sort of unravels a little bit, or, you know, starts to bring this knight into play, hits the bishop. Knight d5, bishop a3. Yeah, so white's rooks look better than black's rooks, but this bishop a3 is certainly positionally very desirable for black because it weakens those dark squares. An exchange on a3, king b1, and this pawn is attacked. The queen came all the way back to defend the pawn. a4, c6, so getting rid of that knight. And bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop. Looks as though it could be a little better for black. That bishop looks a bit better than the knight. After king c7, there was a threat to exchange queens. King c7 stops that, but also means the rooks are connected, so black is going to be able to challenge on the d file. But the game ended like this, very peaceably. Queen c3, perhaps threatening to take on e5, and then the king better watch out. So queen c5, Carlsen shuts down that possibility. Rook e3 guards the queen. Rook d8. First glance, see these rooks aren't working well together. I thought, oh, maybe Carlsen's got a little advantage here with black. But no, king b2 is a very cool move, because after rook d1, well, if the rook could enter the position, it might be different. But here, rook e1 parries, just stops black invading. If that's taken, white can exchange. That's a very level endgame. Bishop is not better than knight here. You know, white's position is completely regular. There's no danger for either side, really. So the game ended rook d1, rook e1. The rook came back. The rook came up because that was threatened. Rook down. So basically a draw by repetition. Threefold repetition. Well, not exactly a thriller. Okay, let me bring you back to move 17. So this is where Caruana played bishop takes knight. And Carlsen very quickly recaptured with the bishop, which looks completely natural. And yes, we saw that after queen d3, threatening to exchange queens, basically Caruana with a couple of accurate moves managed to equalise the position. But here, Carlsen could have played rook takes bishop, which looks so unnatural. It blocks in this bishop. You know, what on earth is the rook doing on e6? I mean, no wonder Carlsen recaptured with the bishop very quickly. I can't imagine he gave rook takes any serious thought. But this is incredible. You know, at first glance, it looks like white is beautifully coordinated. These rooks are split. But look at the idea behind rook takes. Okay, let's try queen d3 as in the game. Well, there is straight away a difference that the check on d6 to exchange queens, that's no longer possible, of course, with the rook there. But now we see the idea. b5. This is incredible. So it makes use of that rook in the corner for a start. So, well, very simply, if pawn takes pawn, pawn takes. Well, if the pawn is taken, then queen a3 wins immediately. King is safe and white's king has gone, basically, supported by the rook. Amazing way to bring the rook into the game. But more than that, that exchange of pawns brings this rook into the game as well. So, for example, if white tries to defend with queen c3, covering these squares, well, first of all, this is a clever move to push the queen back. Rook here. King is really boxed in. Rook e3. There's no need to go in straight away. First of all, b4. So the trap, well, the noose is tightening around the king. Threat, queen c5 to a7. And then, of course, that really will be checkmate. Okay, so how does white try to prevent this? It's extremely difficult. Let's say rook d5. Stop queen c5. All right, bishop e6. So stays on the 5th rank. Queen d6. Now there's a threat down here. Okay, split rooks. White's rooks are split now, and that's fatal. And black's beautifully coordinated. So if rook d3, then you can exploit the fact that one of the rooks is loose by doing this. Thank you very much. The loose rook on b5 drops. Very nice. So this is the idea. After queen d3, you play b5. Let's try something else. Okay, what about a radical way to try and stop b5? Well, b5 happens anyway. So obviously threat just to blast things open. And when white takes that, this is really nice. Rook comes up to the 6th rank. Threat rook b6 to look at that weak pawn here. And the combination of the 2 rooks and the queen, and indeed even the bishop coming to e6, that's actually fatal for white. If a5, that doesn't quite hold things together because of rook c6 threatening rook c5, also allowing this bishop into the game. If rook c1, which seems to cover, but actually bishop d7 is fatal, that queen is going to have to move back. And then this queen comes in. Well, you can see that black's major pieces are working beautifully together. And yeah, this is going to be a win, basically. Okay, what else we got? Did I try rook e3 yet? Let's look at rook e3. b5 anyway. So if that's taken, we've still got queen a3. And if rook d3, well, potential threat here. So rook e8 covers. Again, pawn takes pawn allows this one. Rook d6 is probably the best, but after pawn takes pawn, well, black is a clear pawn up and has excellent winning chances. In fact, black's king is pretty safe there. You can always move to c7. The bishop covers some key squares, and yeah, black is going a clear pawn up with this rook actually playing a really active role in the game. I thought that was a really unique way of coordinating the rooks with this move, b5. I'm not sure you'd get that in normal classical chess, but because the major pieces start in very strange positions, then yeah, it looks rather unique to me, actually. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.